In the north of the Gaza Strip, Israeli troops have been striking daily both the capital of the Palestinian enclave and its satellite towns. At the same time, the number of dead in the region has already exceeded 34,000 people. About 77,000 were injured. At the same time, the Israelis called on the residents of Beit Lahia to leave the settlement immediately. Apparently, IDF units may soon carry out an operation here similar to the one they carried out in Beit Hanun a week earlier. Palestinian militias still retain the ability to attack Israeli border communities. Most such attacks are successfully repelled by air defense and have no significant consequences. In the north of the Gaza Strip, there has been a steady flow of humanitarian aid to the Palestinians. Since the beginning of air deliveries, more than 1,000 tons of food have been delivered to the region. Fighting continued north of Nusayrat, in the isthmus between the northern and southern parts of the enclave. However, in more than 2 weeks of clashes, the Israelis never attempted to advance towards the settlement itself. Israeli units continued to blow up structures in the controlled areas of Al-Zahra and Al-Mugraka. Palestinian militias did not remain idle and conducted several sorties against IDF positions. In the south of the Gaza Strip, debris removal in Khan Yunis and the removal of bodies from the burial site at the Nasser Medical Complex continued. In total, more than 350 remains were exhumed from the vicinity of the hospital during the week. Meanwhile, Rafah continued to be subjected to regular Israeli airstrikes and artillery shelling. The hits again targeted residential areas, resulting in a number of casualties. Israeli forces also continued to prepare for an offensive in the southernmost part of the enclave and the occupation of the Philadelphia corridor. Reconnaissance drones flew over the city on a daily basis, and an accumulation of more than 800 combat vehicles was spotted at border bases. In addition, construction of a tent camp has begun between Khan Yunis and Coastal al-Mawasi. It is planned to accommodate Rafah residents during the Israeli operation in the very south of the enclave. In the West Bank, Israeli security forces again conducted raids in various settlements. Since the escalation, the number of detainees in the Palestinian Authority has almost reached 8,500. Once again, there was no shortage of clashes with local militants, who were most active in Tulkarm. During 3 days of fighting in the town, 14 members of local factions were killed, while 9 IDF soldiers were wounded. Another knife attack took place on a section of Route 60 near the settlement of Kiryat Arba. A 20-year-old Palestinian woman attempted to attack an IDF fighter, but she was shot and died of her wounds. There was a slight increase in the intensity of strikes on the Lebanese-Israeli border compared to last week. Hezbollah fighters fired rockets at Israeli military facilities and reported successfully hitting targets. In turn, Israeli forces shelled the southern Lebanon and reported eliminating several members of the Shiite group. One of the strikes hit Hanin, where 2 Lebanese women were killed and 6 others were wounded.